Okay, well, it is 10, so welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about eliminating pesky knee pain. So how did I learn about this? Well, I have had my own self-healing journey for a number of years. I have sciatica and scoliosis, as many of you know. And my body, especially with scoliosis, my body then is a management issue. In other words, I have to pay a lot of attention to how I sit, how I stand, how I walk. And through that discipline over many years and wanting to be out of pain, I learned an enormous amount about my body. And so that was the upside of my self-healing journey. And I discovered that walking is a really profound thing that we're doing. We want to walk lifelong. We want to protect our ability to walk. However, when we have accidents and injuries in our body, they walk with us into the future. We carry those muscular compensations, twists and torques with us. And since we are walking 5 to 8 to 10,000 steps a day, that creates repetitive stress injuries. So by studying, my dissertation was in body transformation, and I was surprised to discover that walking is continually transforming us for good or for worse. And so I began to study walking and do that with my dance students and found a whole new world of realization about body biomechanics. And that by teaching a proper biomechanics, good form, it began to correct and heal other issues that were happening not only in my spine, but in other people's ankles, low back, knees, hips, really all the way up into the shoulder, head, and neck. So that's what I've been doing for the past 30 plus years, teaching people proper biomechanics of walking. So I'm just taking a look at my notes here. So the good news is that when we change patterns of how we walk and how we stand, we give those parts of our body an opportunity to heal. And the other good news is that since we're walking all the time, and since we want to walk lifelong, why not use walking as a way to keep us in the best, healthiest condition? That's what people in many countries do, but unfortunately, sitting, computing, driving in our country, in the United States, and across the world in other civilized or advanced societies, a lot of our habits are not conducive to good posture and good walking. So that's what we'll do today. We'll focus on pesky knee problems. I'm hoping we can cover an issue for you, but I am not a medical doctor and I am not a physical therapist. And so what I am doing is sharing with you what I've learned from watching thousands of people walk over the years. In fact, when I go on vacation, I can't even stop analyzing walks when I see them. So, okay, so here there are really 3 questions that you want to ask yourself. How is weight falling into my knees when I stand? How is weight falling into my feet when I stand? And what happens when I walk? So let's take the first one. What I'd like you to do is to stand up with me.
Back when I call.
And let's make sure everybody is on mute, Sammy. Good. You have me full frame? Good. I'm going to put the computer down just a little bit. So how is weight falling into my knees when I stand? So I want you to stand and close your eyes a minute and notice where your weight is. Is it the same one foot to the other? Is it more on the heels, the whole foot, or more on the toes? Do you feel yourself standing more on the outside of your feet or one foot, or the inside of your feet, or the inside and outside? So in other words, what's different right to left? And where is your weight? So first I want you to put your weight back on your heels. And when you do, I actually, even if this is not an issue for you, I want you to come back on your heels and notice that it tends to jack your knees back a little bit. Now it might be that your posture is S-curved. So it might be that the weight is in front, or it might be an S-curve, but the weight is in back. So let's just try back a minute. Put the weight in the back, and then also lock your knees and feel what's happening in your knees. Doesn't feel very good, does it? That is a lot of pressure. Release that. I worked with a woman once a young woman who continued to faint because when she was scared, she locked her knees back. So check to make sure that your knees have what I call some play in them. Then bring your weight to the front of your feet. Notice that it can bow your spine, but not necessarily. And notice that the weight goes automatically into your knees. Similarly, when you're standing, if you have your feet out at an angle, the weight goes right down into the knees. This is where gravity lands. Now, it might be complicated by the fact that you're rolling to the inside of your feet. And it might be complicated by the fact that you're also forward on your feet. So knowing where the weight lands when you stand is really, really important. What you want to do is to imagine the long bones of the legs and where that weight would go right down into the ground, right in front of the ankle. So I'd like you to do this. You can hold on if you want to. Come back onto your heels and spread your toes. And then roll forward onto those spread toes. Now, if you're used to pulling your toes together, or you have hammer toes, or whatever it is, then that definitely is going to take a little bit of practice until you can spread those toes. But when you do, even when you're sitting watching TV, you can reach down and you can spread those toes. And it's surprising how quickly you can learn to spread the toe and then when the foot comes down, widen. Okay? So where is the weight? The weight lands right down. You'll feel the heel. You'll feel the metatarsal arch below the toes. And it's that wide arch, or it's that transverse arch, actually, and the heel. So it's like a tripod. It's like a 3-point base. Okay? So that's what you're looking for. Now, I have some exercises, and I have an assistant here today. So Sammy's going to show you some exercises, and we're going to practice those together. So Sammy, I have pinned. So do I need to unpin so that you can, perfect. Okay, so here we are. Let's see. And Sammy, we need to make sure that people can see this. So can somebody give a yes if they can see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so this one is ladder legs. So I want you to think of your legs like the base of a ladder. If you take and bring your hands to the bony part at your hip, on the inside of the hip, and then take flat hands, flat palms, and as you see in the picture, straight down. When you look down, you want to see your knees and then your feet under them. So it's as if you're standing on a ladder. Your torso is standing on a ladder with parallel rungs between the hips, the knees, and the ankles. In the first picture, you can see that the knees are in. And in the second picture, you can see that the knees are out. So the question we've asked here is from this slide is actually from our dynamic walking program. And we asked people to take a video of their walk and then to see whether this matches up with what they see in their walk. So this is called ladder legs. So Sammy, how about well, actually, let's go to the next one. Let's go to heel toe roll. Good. And I'm gonna come onto screen again and show you how to do these. So this is essentially a way to learn to track your knees over your feet as you're walking. You want to roll down the center of the foot. There's some slight variation from the outside towards the heel to towards the big toe, but pretty much it's down the center of the foot. And we'll do that so you can feel it. When you do, your arms are going to swing. So Sammy, how about if I go on screen again and we do these two exercises? Good. Okay, so the first one is ladder legs. So find your hip bones, go to the inside, look down, and see if your feet are there. You don't want a foot out. Your both feet can be slightly out, but you want right to left sides matched. Okay? So then below the hips are the knees and then the feet. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to rock back from the heel to the forefoot, heel to forefoot. This is the same thing you do as you're walking. It's the same movement. And I'm going to do it here so that you can see I'm bringing down my forefoot, I'm bringing down my midfoot, and then I'm bringing down my heel. So if you were to take a hand, an arm, and put it here, and the other hand on top, feel the heel of the hand, and then the metatarsal arch, and then the forefoot. So it is a roll. You want to think of the bottom of your foot as curved, not flat. And you want to roll heel to toe. So let's do that together. Heel to forefoot, spread your toes. Heel to forefoot to toe. Now your arms can be forward and then let them drop. And let them swing. So what I'm teaching you is the heel toe roll. And this is as you will see, one of the best ways to use the feet so that the knees can track over the feet. The knee is like a train going over a track. So I'm sure all of you have seen or maybe had the experience of walking a dog and the dog keeps pulling to one side. All the rest of you has to keep walking forward while that dog is pulling. And the joints in all of your body take the brunt of that. Same thing happens if you walk with a foot out or if you walk with a foot dropped in or out. So heel toe roll, and this is something you can do in the mirror. You can take a yoga block if the knees keep going in, or if you keep falling in. Take a block, put it there, and roll heel to toe down the center. So this is ladder legs, equal rungs between the hips, the knees, and the ankles. And this is the heel toe roll. So once you relax the arms and shoulders, that will help create movement for you. Okay, good. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. So sometimes what happens is the whole upper body lands on the lower body and the legs really can't, the posture is affected. And the legs really can't do much other than lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. I teach a different stride. What I teach is, I teach letting the leg swing by itself. This is a weight. When I push back and then let the hip go, the weight swings by itself. Same thing happens with the arms. The arms will swing by themselves. Why do you need to move the arms forward and back, which you can see on every walking trail, when instead you can let the arms and legs swing by themselves? Okay, but to swing by themselves, you need that heel toe roll. You also need to lift the upper body up. So bring a hand to the side. Notice how much space you have there. Lift an arm, stretch and reach. Bring that arm down and lift tall through your head, and notice you have maintained more space. What you're doing is you're starting to work all of the abdominal muscles, core muscles, to allow you to maintain that space. Same on the other side. Notice the space, lift up, and then bring the arm down and maintain that space. So this we call the shirt pull. Arms come down. And then when you do that as you walk, You're lifted out of your hips. So you've improved your posture, which is going to affect your knees, all of your joints. You've improved your posture. You're more in alignment with gravity. And then the last exercise, which we'll be showing you, is you don't need to walk like this. What you can do is you can lean from the ankles and push off. Lift, align, lean, and push off. Lift, align. So that means that my torso is over my hips and my knees are over my feet. Lean and push off. Good. Sammy's going to show those to us from the dynamic walking program. So this is the short shirt pull. Cross your arms at the wrist. Raise the crossed arms overhead, wrists relaxed. Inhale fully, separate arms. Head and eyes stay level. Lift tall as if lifting into your own crown. Lower your arms to your sides so that you can see your arms in your peripheral vision. And then repeat. Good. And I think we have another one on, yes, stride length. Let's go to the lean, Sammy, and then I'll come back to that. Here is your lean. You're standing, but you don't have any momentum. So what's going to happen is, now that you're more sensitive and going to become more sensitive about where the weight is on your feet, you're going from the weight right, as I described before, right straight down from the long bone of the legs. And you're going to lean forward and you're going to start your heel toe wall. Good. Let's go back to the last slide. Thank you. Because I said you want to start being aware of how the weight is falling on your feet, on your knees when you stand, but how it's also falling on your feet. One of the things that can happen is too long a stride length. So this exercise is about taking too long a stride, too short a stride, and then finding a stride that's just right. So let's bring me on screen again, and I will show this to you. So it's not only how we're standing, but it's how we're walking. I am sure you've seen people walking like this. It's a fairly aggressive walk, or I got to get there now, or do something like, in other words, I'm not okay here, I have to be there. That's kind of the message we give our body, rather than a walk that is, I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here. And what it does is it can land on the heels. So let's say you're standing upright rather than leaning, and you step your foot out. What is happening to that knee? All the weight is coming down, and it can create heel problems too. When you are on that heel, you actually already should be in motion, not here. This is too long a stride. So I need you to check your stride right now. Is it too long? Are you bouncing up and down? Is there sound? Is there a lot of sound? Can you feel the compression? That's going to affect your knees. There's one other thing, and I call it the pony prance or the pony flick. And sometimes when people walk, it could be a combination of too long a stride, but it also could be a combination of flexing the ankle too much. So if you put your heel out and you flex the ankle, can you feel what's happening to the knee? So I saw someone in boots at the farmer's market the other day. And at the very end, I'm not going to do the boots part, but at the very end, she flicked her ankle. So she put a lot of pressure on her knee because now some people have tension in the front of their bodies, or they've seen their parent do it, or a movie star do it, and it looks cool, whatever. I've seen all those things. You want to relax the ankles and let them shake out, let them relax if that's your issue, and make sure that you're not tightening the ankle as you walk. So that and too long a stride will create knee pain. So here's the exercise. Take too long a walk, too long a stride rather, feel what happens. And now take too short a stride. Notice you don't go anywhere. So what I'd like you to do is your heel toe roll. Check that your knees are tracking over your feet and that you're going heel, widen through the metatarsal arches I showed you, and then onto the forefoot. Here's the heel toe roll. That was the ladder legs. And now here's the lift. Here's the lean. And keep your stride shorter and don't lift the toes too much. You don't have to. Good. All right, so those are the exercises that I wanted to teach you. This is extremely important to discover how the weight is falling on your knees when you stand, how the weight is falling on your feet when you stand, and what happens when you walk. So what can you do? You can discover these habits of posture and stride and shift them. There are a couple ways we'd like to suggest. One is when you go to our website, dynamicvitality.com. Sammy, do you have that one for us? Maybe not. We'll go to dynamicvitality.com and you will see that you can download for free the 7 common walking problems from our website. Many of the things I discussed today are going to be in those 7 common walking problems with short descriptions of what they are and exercises to do, including a review of what I did today. The other thing that you can do, and I would like to encourage you to do, is join us virtually for our dynamic walking training for lifelong legs. These patterns do not go away on their own. If you have compromised issues or pain in any joint, every other joint in the body is affected in some way or compensating in some way. In our program, what we teach you to do is to analyze your stride and to begin to make those changes as you walk. You want to walk. You want to walk lifelong. When you're no longer able to walk, everything starts slowing down. You know that. To stay healthy, to stay free and independent, to not be a burden on other people, you want to keep walking lifelong. So you can read more about that program at dynamicwalking.com. There's a program you can join, and it's self-paced. You can do it on your own at any time. But what I'd like to encourage you to do is on September 23rd to join our coached program. I'll be doing exactly what the same kinds of things you see here. I'll be helping you analyze your stride. You'll have videos so that you can see, and I'll teach you to analyze those and see what the issues are. And then eventually those will begin making changes throughout your whole body. That's the goal. So I want to thank you very much for joining me today. For those of you who can stay a little longer, on the chat, go to the chat, and I will be happy to field some questions.
Also, there's the link to the 7 Common Walking Problems ebook and the Dynamic Walking website on the chat.
Good, thank you. Thank you, everyone.